Welcome back to Music Kingdom. In this video we are listening to, giving a music theory breakdown for, and reviewing Michael and Quincy by Nas from the album King's Disease 3. Because that's what we do on this channel. Hang tight. Hey music lovers, my name is Francis. If you'd like to support the work I put into these videos, click the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to support the channel even further, you'll find Music Kingdom's Patreon and other affiliate links in the description below. Alright, now before listening to the song, breaking it down musically, and ultimately reviewing it, arriving at a score, let's first briefly talk Michael and Quincy by Nas. Now on the off chance that someone watching this video is unfamiliar with Nas, he is a living legend of the hip-hop genre, effectively making music in 4 different decades. Technically speaking, the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, and now the 2020s. At this point in his career, he is pretty revered, and in my opinion, rightfully so. Nas has always been one of my personal favorite hip-hop artists, and he's made some of my personal favorite hip-hop songs ever as well. So naturally, when I hear of his latest album release and that there's a track on that album called Michael and Quincy, I jumped at it because I love Michael and Quincy. Now the song Michael and Quincy is from the 16th studio album by Nas, and at the time of the making of this video, it is a recent release coming out on November 11th of 2022. The album as a whole is produced by Nas and Hit Boy, and the song Quincy and Michael specifically is written by Chauncey Hollis Jr., Nas, and Jesse Bloom. Now with that out of the way, let's give the song a listen and be sure to stick around afterwards for a music theory breakdown. Then we're going to review the song and give it a score.
Eardrums diversionized from the words of mine. Just a word of advice, you can't murder Nas. All my niggas certified, we got certain ties. Streets was the office, we didn't need a shirt and tie. M-I-A-M-I, weather like the Virgin Isles. I ain't got no jury on, cause I'm made of ice. Element surprise, move with the passing of
You can never go wrong with Nas's flow.
To Portofino,
Ooh, nice change up.
From a younger dude with a crew and we was working the shift. Your South Park cartoon characters, I'm convinced they never been scared to death while staying calm in the twist. I creeped in a jean jacket, headband, and Nikes. I ain't like to dodge fights as I rode my bike, and I was looking at these people thinking they just might make me come out my cool character, break through the smooth barriers, go crazy.
You can always count on Nas for a good production.
Before I even pulled to the spot, they try to park me. Jeepers, creepers. America's a baby that's teething, shitting on itself, crying.
I like the different layers, even though they're subtle.
It's not even a toddler yet. Gang members got nothing on these congressmen. Plus Ray Liotta and James Conrad, iconic actors who are redemption for these mob guys. We easing on down the road for the third win. Who's bad is up and is stuck, feel the whirlwind. Like young Quincy Jones stuck outside the club to Ray Charles snuck him in. Ought to be young again, but right now it's like I got the power of 100 men. Now's a hit like Michael and Quincy on the run again.
Very well written.
From the words of mine. I'm activated, my hair might spark flames. Ooh. Aviator frames, bandages, lamin' this is stage. From a stretcher I wave. Even if I never had 2 arms full of Grammys or responsive from Pepsi, I'd still be honorary.
Ooh.
Like Quincy on the trumpet, Hit Boy on the drum kit. Nasty like Michael, no vocals, I overdub it. Bouncing off the wall, always starting something. Behind the scenes of the Thriller video, big budget.
So many references.
Moonwalking, smooth criminal talking. I'm changing colors right now till I'm dark skinned. Adam Clayton Powell, complexion the ball wins. Andy, are you okay watching me transforming? Pinky ring glitter like the socks and the glove. Know some money getting thugs that could buy the Beatles pub.
Just keep
That's what
coming.
I really call copping white, reeing up.
Damn. Initial thoughts, it's absolutely a song that kind of hangs its hat on its lyrics. It is a fine production in my opinion. However, I know that in hip hop you have loops and you have beats and you have hooks and things like that, so it is repetitive by nature. However, while repetitive is okay, sometimes it can lean towards redundant, and I did find that the loop in this song felt a bit redundant, but it was otherwise made up for by the accents of production, and of course, if you really tune into the lyrics, that's really what the song is trying to show off. It's not necessarily trying to be anything other than that. Regarding the lyrics, I think I was most impressed by his ability to continuously make references. It wasn't like 2 or 3 Michael and Quincy references, it was like 10 of them at least, while simultaneously making it make sense with the context of the song and what he was trying to say. So I thought that was impressive. But before I share the rest of my thoughts when I'm reviewing the song and giving it a score, let's first go to the expert's corner for a music theory breakdown and to hear his take.
Welcome to the Experts Corner. I'm John Paul, and this is Michael and Quincy by Nas. This song is in the time signature of 4/4, and it's in the key of C sharp minor. very dramatic. Musically and compositionally, this song doesn't do much, but what it does do, it does very well. I think this is minimalism done right. So for almost the entire song, it stays on C sharp minor. Now, the instrumentation and melodies change throughout, but overall it does stay right there. Near the end, there's this really cool kind of melodic thing happening in the strings. So on my first couple of playthroughs, I really just thought it was nothing but C sharp minor. However, on about my third playthrough, I realized it does change it up twice in the song. So after staying on C sharp minor for a while, it goes into kind of a alternate section where it takes you to an F sharp minor with a 2 in there, sometimes a 6 in there. It kind of moves. And then to A major with a major 7, flat 5, and then back to C sharp minor. So like I said, while it isn't much, it was done super well, it was arranged well, it was produced well, and it just fits the badass tone of the song. To be honest with you, I don't know much about Nas or his work, but I do know that he's one of the most revered rappers out there, and I also know that he's managed to stay relevant in an industry that is becoming so oversaturated. This song was solid, the beat was great, the lyrics were great, the music, while simplistic, was also badass. In my opinion though, it's probably not his best work because even the couple of other songs I've heard still top this one. Despite that, I'm going to give this one a very respectable 7 out of 10. Back to you, Francis.
A very special thank you to our musical expert for providing his take and giving the song a strong 7 out of 10. And now it's time to review the remaining 5 categories, his making it a total of 6, averaging them out, and then arriving at an overall score. Starting off with composition, I'm inclined to give the song a 4 out of 10. Not because the song sucks by any means, no, but because it's hip-hop, it's rap. And in the future, I might consider perhaps when there's almost a non-existent composition, giving it an NA as not applicable so that it doesn't affect the overall score. But I did not do that for Major Distribution by Drake and 21 Savage, so I need to at least be consistent. This one, however, is not going to be as low as that song because at least this one had some more melody to it. At least this one felt a bit more musical. There were some changes in the song's structure at certain points, so at least for what that's worth, there was some composition despite it being pretty much just production in a loop. So for that, I will give it a 4 out of 10 instead of a 1, 2, or 3, just because it has a bit more to offer than a super duper generic basic hip hop song. However, there are some hip hop songs out there that have beautiful composition. For example, Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly album. That is a work of art, but they're not all gonna be like that, and I have to try to be consistent. So not insulting this song, but I feel a 4 out of 10 is fair. Up next, we have production, which I'm giving a 7.5 out of 10. In my opinion, this is one of the stronger points of the song, and yes, while it does feel redundant at certain points, it doesn't feel too redundant because the production, staying sharp and staying fresh, keeps the song alive. The first third of the song sounds a bit different than the middle of the song, which sounds a bit different than the final third of the song because he's adding different elements, he's creating new atmospheres, different sound effects and layers to the production that keeps the song at least feeling fresh. That way it's not at least the same thing the entire time. Touches of horn, different things on the synth. Details like that, for me, go a very long way. There was some trap in there. If you've watched any of my videos, you know I'm not a huge fan of trap beats. However, I have more of a problem when the entire song is like that. In this one, it was like a little trap beat sprinkled into the song that was otherwise not dependent on the trap beat. So it was a bit more complimentary. Otherwise, I might give it a bit higher than a 7.5, but that's still very fair. However, to keep perspective, there are some hip hop songs out there that have productions on the levels of 8s, 9s, and 10s. Some of them by Nas. This one just isn't one of them, but I still feel that a 7.5 is very good, bordering on great. Moving on to our next category, which is usually vocals, but because this song is of the hip-hop rap genre, we are instead grading it as flow. And Nas's flow in this song, in my opinion, warrants a strong 8 out of 10. Nas is great, respected, and revered for many things, and one of those things especially is his flow, whether it's his work from the 90s, 2000s, 2010s, or even his current stuff that just came out. His flow is always going to flow well. It's always going to be a nice, rhythmic, almost hypnotic spitting of the fire, if you will. And in some parts of this song, especially in the latter half of the song when he's really going in on it, I would give that perhaps a 9. I mean, that is some flawless flow coming from Nas. Perhaps in the first half of the song it would be a little bit lower because he was still kind of easing into it. The only thing I'd take away regarding his flow would be the chorus or the hook of the song. That felt a bit forced. It was harder to, it kind of broke me out of the rhythm or the hypnotism that his verses were, and kind of just, okay, yeah, all right, this is a hook, this is a hook. It's just, you know, it rhymed, it was nice, but I would take away points for that. So otherwise I would give it probably an 8.5 or a 9, but to keep it as objective as possible, weighing everything, the flow, in my opinion, well deserving of an 8 out of 10. Moving on to lyrics, I'm giving them a very strong 8.5 out of 10. What I love about this song is the rhymes are very clever, and that's not unheard of in the genre of hip hop or rap by any means. However, a lot of times in songs, especially in newer rap, a lot of rhymes are just rhymes to rhyme, or they're just rhymes to flow, or they're just rhymes to put over a sick beat or something like that. And what is becoming, in my opinion, a little bit less common is when the flows and the rhymes are very good and they're still maintaining a cohesive storytelling element. So in the first half of the song, or I guess really the whole song, but especially the first half, Nas is being a bit more autobiographical with his lyrics and very clever rhymes while making sense and still achieving his goal of telling a story. But then it gets really genius when he starts referencing Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones and still using those as metaphors and examples to continue his autobiographical story, which in my opinion is really clever and harder to do than one would think. And the references are endless. It starts with "We easing on down the road." That is a The Wiz reference of Michael Jackson and Diana Ross from, I believe, 1979. You've got "Who's Bad," which, duh. You've got "Like Young Quincy Jones stuck outside the club till Ray Charles snuck him in." You've got "Nas and Hit," like Michael and Quincy on the run again, referencing how Nas and Hit Boy produced this album. You've got "Aviator frames, bandages, laminates for stage." That is referencing Michael Jackson's performance attire. "From a stretcher I wave," famous pictures of Michael Jackson with his sparkly glove on a stretcher, just like waving to fans in the midst of hysteria. "Even if I never had 2 arms full of Grammys or a sponsor from Pepsi, I'd still be honorary." Still, in line biographical with Nas telling his own story, but he's using the imagery of Michael Jackson famously in 1984, I believe, carrying 8 Grammys for his album Thriller, and then of course his sponsor from Pepsi, which was a massive thing in Michael's life spanning from the 80s to the 90s and is the infamous hair burning incident that greatly affected Michael's life and got him on painkillers. You've got "Like Quincy" on a trumpet, Hit Boy on a drum kit, basically tying Hit Boy, who's producing this album with Nas, to the brilliance, I suppose, of Quincy Jones composing and producing himself. You've got "Nasty Like Mike" on the vocals. Mike was nasty on the vocals. "Bouncing off the wall, always starting something," the album Off the Wall. "Wanna be starting something." Behind the scenes of the Thriller video, big budgets, "Moonwalkin', Smooth Criminal Talkin'." So you've got a Thriller, a Moonwalk, and a Smooth Criminal reference. "I'm changing colors right now till I'm dark-skinned," Adam Clayton Powell's complexion to Baldwin's. And this is a reference to Michael Jackson's vitiligo, which I do, in my opinion, feel is in good taste because the context of the rest of the song is basically praising how badass Michael Jackson was, so it would be a bit out of character for Nas to just be insulting someone's skin disorder, and I know that Nas is a fan of Michael Jackson, so in my opinion that was kind of a tasteful, fun reference to Michael's very evident changing of his skin tone. "N.E.R.E.O.K. Smooth Criminal reference. "Pinky ring glitter like the socks in the glove," Michael Jackson attire reference. "Know some money getting thugs that buy the Beatles pub," a reference to how Michael Jackson was so successful and rich that he literally bought the Beatles catalog as a boss move. Endless references, cohesive. It wasn't just random. It wasn't not making sense just to talk about Michael Jackson. It was in line with the entire song that Nas wrote. In my opinion, excellent, beautifully written, 8.5 out of 10. The only reason it's not a 9 or a 10 is because those numbers in terms of lyrics are really reserved for some of the greatest writers and poets in the history of the music industry outside of just hip hop of any genre. So I'd feel a bit sacrilegious giving Nas that much of credit. However, 8.5, I mean, that is, I don't give many 8.5s on the channel anyway. So in my opinion, the lyrics were great. Now, arriving at our final category of originality and or inspiration, I will be giving this song a 6.5 out of 10. Reason being, most of the song in my opinion is pretty middle of the road regarding how original and inspired it is. There really isn't a whole lot of composition to talk about. The production is really good in my opinion, however, it's not necessarily great. Nas's flow, the way you deliver lyrics, isn't necessarily having anything to do with how original or inspired a song is. And then of course you have the lyrics, which are absolutely very original and inspired, giving it bonus points. So what I'm getting at is for the rest of the song, it would probably be a 4 or a 5, but because of how good the lyrics are and how original they are and how inspired of an idea it is, I'm inclined to give it a bonus point or a bonus point and a half to at least recognize that. However, as the song entirely, no, I can't with any conviction say that it's necessarily crazy, original, artistic, inspired, which is okay. That's not unusual for the specific genre of hip hop. Add it all up, throw in the expert score, and average it out. Michael and Quincy by Nas from the album King's Disease 3 gets a very healthy 6.9 out of 10. In my opinion, a 6.9 is very strong, especially for the hip hop genre and especially for it being new in the hip hop genre. It can be a bit polarizing of a genre. Some songs are in the dust heaps of hell with how bad they are, getting 1s, 2s, or 3s. Others are absolute works of art from concept albums that get 8s, 9s, and 10s. So for this one, I appreciate everything about it. I appreciate the good production and the lyrics and his flow and all of that. But all in all, is it one of the best hip hop songs that exists in the world right now? No, but it's a very good one, which is reflected by it having a score of 6.9. This song reminded me how much I do miss Nas. It has been quite a while since I really went deep into his catalog of work and really just had him on repeat all the time. And subjectively speaking, something that I really didn't want to affect the score of the song because it's my own bias, but I have a soft spot for when anybody has the balls to reference Michael Jackson in their work. He is a controversial figure. People might be scared of getting canceled, but I applaud people like Nas for having the balls to be like, yeah, Michael was a badass, and I'm gonna make it about how I'm a badass too. So bravo to Nas. As always, in the comments down below, let me know if you agree or disagree with me, and of course let us know which songs by your favorite artist you would like for this channel to review next. As mentioned, if you'd like to support myself and the work I put into these videos, click the like button and subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to support the channel even further, you'll find Music Kingdom's Patreon and other affiliate links in the description below. This has been another edition of Music Kingdom. Thank you so much for listening with me, and I look forward to jamming with you in the next one.